Hello, everybody, and welcome on in. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. For anybody unfamiliar with me, I am Dragonus Berserk Zigmut, but you may call me Zerk. And today, you know, Twitch is ever so nicely, provided with, me with my 2025 uh, recap of all, the fun and exciting, moments we had throughout the year. Granted, I am still a little bit of like a smaller streamer, but still, it's always kind of fun to sit there and see, how each year went and all that. So without further ado, let's kind of roll on into this and see what we got here. Um, Hopefully, I'm not kind of like scrolling through this too well for like too long, but still, it's kind of fun, kind of check out and whatnot. Also, I will probably apologize because the screen will probably be a little like cut off on some edges, and I still haven't quite got things set up the correct way. It's strange, I've been doing this for over a year now and still, figuring things out. But anyways, 2025, this year came together like never before to stream, hang, and co-create. Let's recap, shall we? Alright, so we're gonna start off with my streamer one. Then I'll end up kind of like showing off the, my viewer side of things, how I end up, interacting and all that. And as far as I can kind of tell, the community one, it just kind of shows community, like Twitch as a whole, but not too much, directly regarding, what I end up doing. So I just kind of like mentions, some interesting events and all that kind of stuff. But anyways, let's get to our high scores. Hours streamed 1,128 hours this year. Holy shit. Which is kind of interesting because I believe I have missed a couple of days, but I've had a total of 321 streams. Interesting. Although I do know sometimes it's sort of like counts even when you end up having like disconnects and all that. But damn. Distinct days I streamed, we have 258. So I'm not too shabby, not too shabby. And especially with how things have gone this, year, there's been quite a few times where I've had, struggles where I wasn't able to, really stream. But still, quite impressive. Total hours watched, 392. I was gonna say, it's probably not, too bad. Although, I guess that's kind of only like roughly maybe like a third of, the time that I streamed, so, okay, my top categories. And this is where I, like I was mentioned, like, end up probably seeing some stuff a little cut off on the edges. My top being Zenless Zone Zero. I do quite enjoy, playing the game and like the story, all the different like kind of battle mechanics and all that kind of stuff. Second up, Pal World. Yeah, I kind of did get pretty deep into Pal World this year. Been loving me some Marvel Rivals, so I can kind of understand that one. Plus, literally the plan after, wrapping this up is, probably gonna play a little bit of Rivals, have some fun. Although, at some point, I really do need to start learning more of the characters and how to like properly play them. So I could actually probably start doing a little more competitive or something like that. Which is kind of weird thinking that I'd be doing competitive just for fun, even mostly doing like quick play and all that kind of stuff with it. Fourth place we got Expedition 33. I wonder how that ended up getting my top, top 5. I totally didn't end up having it as, mainly my only streams for like, I think 3 weeks to a month. It's like the game came out and I ended up getting it. It's like, oh, let's just play and play and play and play. um, I have been doing a lot more playing like Magic the Gathering Arena on stream this year, so yeah. I can understand being in fifth place. Of course, do like how they're all like top 10 percentile. But yeah, so it's only top five, categories. Not too shabby, not too shabby. Um, my top stream, uh, my top stream reached 60 viewers, which I believe that was back. Strangely enough, I believe this one actually wasn't even in one of my, like one of the top five games, like categories I was playing as, because I think this was when I was doing a lot more of the, yeah, I think it was like towards the very beginning of the year when I was playing a lot of the TCG Card Shop Simulator. People will really, like in my community, really love, when I play card games, it seems. My top tags: English, drop enabled, and gamer. Kind of understandable because, yeah, primarily an English channel. And I do tend to leave like the drops enabled for whatever I'm playing, just so people can end up like earning the stuff. Uh, gamer. Well, geez, I wonder mostly because my channel's been about gaming. I do want to expand a little bit more on that. I don't want to just should be like primarily gaming, but it's a slow road. uh, 2,648 chats received. Not too shabby. I kind of feel like I need to actually probably compare last year to this year, but last year, and if last year kind of outweighs it, I'd be a little confused since, just last year I had started streaming near like the end of, July, so it wouldn't have had that many months to record information from. Alright. My top channel emotes: laugh and love. And yeah, not too many people actually are using my emotes, but I do encourage people to end up, using. I do encourage people, just freely use whichever, emotes, they most like. Plus, I'm still kind of, I need to like tidy up those ones a little bit, because I do notice I still run into like some issues with my emotes every once in a while. My biggest fans were, we got Crave Rusty, which yeah, they were actually, stopping in for a little while there. James Plays, yeah, gee, I wonder, my mod being one of my, top biggest fans. I've never guessed. Then, got, one of my nice artists that, help out with stuff. Joe Van Pelt, Jeffrey Diet, Dorothy McDonald. Although, strangely, I haven't, well, I haven't actually seen most of these people probably around for a little bit. Which, granted, yeah, I did have like some struggles earlier in the year that kind of cut off some of my, like, some of my streams. So for a little while there, I did end up having like a small hiatus-ish kind of time, it felt like. I can't really call it that. I think there was probably like a couple times where I had like, well, I think there was like one time when I took like a week off just because I had to get some stuff straightened out. Crossovers. Who rated me? We got Kurgan, which I believe they raided into my stream when I was doing uh, my New Year's like long stream. I think that was the one time I ended up, yeah, like the one and only time this year where I think I did a 20, I think it was 22-hour stream, going from, the end of 2024 into 2025. Yeah, they kind of like raided into me like the last couple hours of that. Again, as I was sitting there playing uh, TCG Card Shop Simulator, it was nice getting a chance to like chat with them. But like I said, I believe that was, from that raid. Then we got Bix Play, which actually I believe Bix Plays and uh, Montail, I believe, were both people that raided into me as I was playing Magic the Gathering Arena. Again, I'm starting to notice I might be developing a little bit of a community of people that just like my card, launching card games. Raids sent this year. I sent 253 raids. Jeez. Wait, okay. No, I just want to actually kind of check this because I raided 253 times. If I remember right, I know I'm gonna like scroll up here. I streamed 250. Oh, that's different days. Okay, so yeah, I don't know exactly. I might have, raided a couple. Well, not raided a couple of times just because, Maranon. Generally, what was my topic at the time. Uh, which, yeah, I know some stuff. It's like, yeah, I don't really think that's, something I really want to raid out on. But a lot of times, just try to end up, spreading the love, showing, sharing my community with, people that I, tend to watch and respect and, enjoy what they end up doing and help inspire me and all that. Who did I raid? I know it's a little cut off here. Let me see if I can actually kind of scoot that for a second. Because we got Savvy at 44 times I raided Savvy this year. Raid over to Zen 25 times. I might need to scoot that back over some. Just, oop. Yeah, because I screwed up where that was laying. Yeah, like I said, a little scuff there, and then we'll only scroll up a little bit so you can see, raid over to Arrows 23 times. Which, strange enough, it's always kind of interesting because it's like, normally my weekdays, as I'm sitting there like streaming, I mean, Savvy or Zen are normally the two that are, streaming the most when, I was normally finishing up my raids, well, my streams. Eros is more of the, like one of the people that, even though, I enjoy watching a lot of their content, not able to really, raid over to them too much. It's like, kind of like my weekday, people that I raid to, raiding over to Eros on the weekends. But yeah, love them all so much. Great people. Hype happenings. New followers. This year I had gotten a total of 464 new followers. Granted, looking at my current follower, list, slightly lower, but, understandable. People, come and go, kind of decide if they like my content. New subscribers, 1. In a way, I kind of feel like this, needs a little bit of an asterisk, but I'll kind of point out that a little bit later. Because I know it might sound a little weird, but I don't really count that, too much. uh, Points spent in my channel, 100. Uh, Not too people, really mess with my channel redeems too much. I think that was just so I'm trying to make sure that I actually, hydrated. Speaking of which, one second. Achievements. Affiliate unlocked. Which, this right here is actually kind of why I don't really technically count the one new subscriber, because, well, anybody unfamiliar, when you make it to affiliate, Twitch automatically gives you a lifetime tier 3 sub to yourself, which, you end up sitting there wondering, it's like, why would they do that? Well, how weird would it sit there and feel if you've got, like, well, you sit there and put, like, your emotes in, like, you got, like, your follower emotes, your tier 1s, your tier 2s, your tier 3s, but because you're not sub to yourself, you can't use your own emotes. Which, that's why I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool to at least give you, like, a lifetime tier 3 to yourself, so you actually do be able to actually, use your own emotes. Chat badges unlocked 2025, recap. Alright, next up. Oh, okay, my bad. I guess that's kind of a quick sum up of that, but yeah. I might be kind of like pulling through this a little fast, but anyways, yeah, as kind of like the quick little recap up there, for 464 followers, 392 hours watched, 1 subscriber, top categories, total streams, chats received, and, top channel emote being, the love. Which, yeah, I'll try to remember to sit there and share these later. But now, now we're gonna get to the fun one of, how I've been interacting with, Twitch as a viewer. Bright. Why do they make this one white? It's so bright. Alright. So I think it was before, so I mentioned that, but, alright, so, as a viewer, which, when I did take a little peek at this, I started sending a question, I'm like, maybe I spend a little too much time on Twitch. Okay. High scores. Hours watched. As a viewer, I have spent 8,150 hours on Twitch this year. Distinct days visited, 366. Since, February, it was a leap year this year. So, yeah, I've been on Twitch every single day for the past year. Wonderful. Top categories. We got just chatting, which, yeah, a lot of people that sit there and watch, either they'll start off, their streams with chatting, or, quite a few times, so they're just like tune into someone's streams just so they, as they're like chatting along for like hours on end. It's always fun, just kind of like chill with people and, just get to end up kind of knowing them. Special events for a second. Okay, yeah, I can understand that. A lot of like different like debuts or events people sitting there doing. I always enjoy, popping in on those. I believe there's been quite a few like concert kind of ones that people are sitting there doing. And yeah, a lot of different uh, like debuts and stuff like that. Because, understandable, these being like top two with, following like over 200 people and regularly trying to actually, tune into their streams. Three being Minecraft. Huh. No, it kind of checks out. Because there's been a lot of like those like Pokemon mod kind of ones or, you know, role playing ones that I've been sitting there kind of like watching over the last year. Marvel Rivals for number four, which not surprised there whatsoever because, a lot of my favorite streamers actually do end up like playing a lot of like rivals together, and I watched a lot of different like competitions and stuff with it. Art. I do love watching me some art. uh, Actually, one of my like favorite streamers I watch, they end up doing like a lot of like painting and stuff like that. And I've also, watched a lot of different like people doing different art styles. So yeah, these make a lot of sense. My favorite streamers. And, oh, that is a little cut off on the edge there, but yeah. Watched Eros for 793 hours. Chat sent 986. I will admit, quite often when I've had like Twitch up, because yeah, there will be times where I'm like in the middle of doing something, so I'll end up having Twitch opened in like the background to end up, as I'm trying to do other things, just accompanying, uh, so not. But this is actually one that I thought was kind of funny when I actually did kind of look at it. I might have to kind of scoot this over a little bit just so you can kind of see this a little bit better. As you look at my second, third, and fourth place, and my watch hours for them, I thought it was kind of funny that literally Michi, Savvy, and Pseudo, I all watched for 573 hours. Although, on some level, the Pseudo Savvy combo here, I can quite easily understand because there have been quite a few times where, like, I'm in the middle of like working on something. I've got Pseudo up on one monitor as she's like painting, and then I'd have like Savvy up on the other monitor as she's like playing Rivals or uh, like Rivals, I believe like Night Rain. Basically, watching painting on one monitor and gaming on the other, or there's also been times where them clapping together, doing stuff. Although there was actually something that I was sitting there thinking about on this, because over the last year, Eros, Michi, and Pseudo all had like subathons that went for like a month. So I can kind of understand, the, high, well, I say a month, if not mistaken. Eros started hers in like freaking, well, last December, and that didn't end until May. um, but yeah, it's like I could kind of understand them having, like the high watch hours. I was a little confused at first on how I ended up having Savvy so high, but then, immediately Savvy be like, oh yeah, we're just gonna end up having like a short stream. 60 hours later, or, well, no, she's done a couple of them where it was like, 50, 60 hours, but there's been quite a few times where just she streams for like 30 to 40 hours straight, which is understandable. It's kind of not complaining or anything like that, just kind of enjoy being around. But yeah, I just kind of thought that was kind of funny that, I had three people tied for the same amount of like watch time. And then not to end up being, outshadow or anything like that, but, we got fifth place, we have Numi with 325 hours, which understandable, when. And she does have like two like week-long events that she does, but normally, her, Numi's like stream times, 2 to 3 hours. So yeah, well, I kind of, I lingered there for a little bit for, favorite streamers, but I'm just gotta throw out the love when I can. Sent a total of 14,990 chats. My top emotes. We have Suto, uh, yeah, Pseudo Rave with 1,483. Next up would end up being, Denumi Heart, with 1,231. Tricky, Tricky Party, just under 1,000, and slightly, less than that one. Fourth place being, Tricky the. I find it kind of funny because it's like first, third, and fifth place are all rave. Then, first and fourth are, hearts. Yeah, just like, hang on, good vibes, party out with, a bunch of good peoples. um, Hype's happening. Subs gifted 21. I can kind of. I don't normally, get gift subs too much because, well, never really had too much, spare funds to try to, gift out. Which kind of sucks sometimes, but hopefully at some point I'll be able to, try to spread more love out to people. Hype Train's contributed to 45. I would have thought that would have been slightly higher, but I guess whenever. Actually, probably technically could have been lower than that because I know there's been a couple times where it's like, yeah, I contributed to Hype Train. It's just a sub renewal. um, Chat badge unlocked. Okay, yeah, it's the recap one again. And then down to the share your recap thing. But, brief little sum up, I still feel a little weird about that number. So I'm like, damn, I spent, over 8,000 hours on Twitch. And, was on Twitch every single day. I'm like, damn, yeah, I kind of feel like I might need to, get off of Twitch here every once in a while. Bam. So, again, I'll try to remember later on to probably sit there and share these. But like I said there, and was mentioned before, the community thing here, it's mostly just a generalized, kind of recap of, things going on and all that. Which most of this is kind of feels like Oh, hot new games, yeah. A lot of like peak content and all that. IRLs and concerts, all that fun stuff. I don't really, do much with any. Uh, basically just kind of showing the stuff, in general, as Twitch as a whole. Thousands of fandoms. On art, we've got together for whatever, streaming nearly. Yeah. Yeah, collectively streaming almost like 9. Wait, what is this clip?
Zombie? Yes. I am here to slurp out your brain from your ear hole. Come here. Come here. I am here to slurp.
Okay, Lumi being a little bit of a goofball.
A nice milkshake. Nice milkshake.
So now I understand why Mary was bringing that up. Out of like all the VTuber clips, Stern shows Lumi's. But yeah. But that basically kind of sums up that, bit there. uh, but, just kind of like a brief look into my recap and all that. Again, I do plan on trying, just kind of sharing the summaries and all that of my, recap probably a little later on. I'll try to like put it up on like Twitter and Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, all that kind of stuff. Basically, just figure out where I'm going to drop it out later. But with that, I'm going to switch over to take a quick little break here, get things changed on over, and then we can dive back into the stream here in a moment. So just give me a quick minute to switch things over for Rivals, and we'll be right back, everybody. Hang tight.